Welcome back, internet friends. A little over a year ago, I made a video about why you should not deliver food for DoorDash. Well, a lot of things have changed since then, and I want to talk about DoorDashing in 2020 and give you a few tips that might help you make a little more money, as well as kind of give myself a rebuttal to my old video. A lot of people comment on it still, and they get real angry because they say some of the things are untrue, and yes, a lot has changed with DoorDash in the last year. The first thing that's changed is that the pay scale is totally different than it used to be. As of September 2019, they did a completely new pay scale, but they let us keep the tips, which is something they're now being sued for. I'm sure you've seen the advertisements from these lawyers. They are all trying to get old DoorDash drivers to sue because those drivers were denied their tips. Many of my old screenshots of deliveries show tips that I literally did not get. The guaranteed pay on this order was $5.90. The customer tipped $7.96. So the total payout should have been $13.86. The guaranteed pay plus the customer tip. But as you can see, DoorDash used the customer tip to subsidize the guaranteed pay so that DoorDash only made a base pay of $1. If the customer didn't tip enough, as you can see here, DoorDash had to increase the base pay to meet the guaranteed amount that it promised the driver when he accepted the order. This was causing so much issue that one driver made postcards for his customers explaining the equation and how DoorDash would keep the tip, and he encouraged the customers to tip their drivers with cash instead. This was posted on Reddit as other drivers started to make postcards telling customers how their tips were being stolen and not going to the driver. And this adds up to hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars of income that was being stolen from us by DoorDash. They would use the customer's tip as an inclusion to pay you the minimum. So if the customer tipped well enough, DoorDash didn't pay you at all, rather than paying you what they promised and letting you keep the tip. Now, the first and most important thing that you need to know about DoorDash in 2020 is to smash the like button. In my old video, I complained about bad pay, and you would get $5 to $7 a delivery. Now, since they changed the pay scale, the app is more transparent. It shows you right away how much you're making, the distance, and sometimes the customer can add a tip later, but it gives you a pretty accurate readout right off the bat, so you know how much you're gonna be making. Before, people would be angry because you could pick up a delivery that said you're making $6, and then you go drop it off and it would just bling. Guess what? You got another $10, but it would still eat the tip portion of that, and it would give you the extra that it didn't need to eat as like an additional bonus. Now, you'll get an order, it'll say like $17 or $20. I've had orders for $24. It's not uncommon, especially on the weekends. That never happened before. DoorDash did not have deliveries this big before in the past, or if they did, they were extremely rare and you didn't know that you were gonna get them because the whole pay scale was not transparent. It sort of hid things from you as a driver. Another thing I complained about in my old video was the app. In 2018, early 19, the app was bad. The network and the app would fail all the time, sometimes when you're in the middle of a delivery. Things were bad, but thanks to my old video, and I think other people who made videos complaining, you guys should really thank us, the content creators, because DoorDash listened to a lot of the complaints in my last video. Things have really been updated, and the app works almost seamlessly. Like, I have not had a single problem in about 6 months with anything with the delivery app. As long as I have good cell service, everything runs smoothly, the network hasn't failed. The customer service has even gotten a little bit faster. So the app and network I have no problems with. Those have greatly improved. Thank you, DoorDash, for listening to us. It's also kind of obvious that they've taken ideas from other delivery apps that people liked and applied it to their own software. There's been little hints of Postmates and Uber Eats style added into the DoorDash app to make it more visually appealing. Another complaint in my last video, this one is actually still true to this day. The app is oversaturated with drivers. At least in my area, it is still super saturated with drivers. It's really difficult to get on the schedule. When the schedule comes out, people are like fighting to grab every shift just so they can seize all the shifts and then give them up as they don't need them. And it's really hard to get on the delivery app unless it's rush hour or it's raining. During not rush hour, like 10 a.m., it seems to be a little bit more tricky, and the schedule is almost always empty. it does put a little bit of a bitter taste in my mouth when I can't get on the schedule. The market is still oversaturated. They're still doing referral bonuses. And when it's not rush hour, it's hard to get good deliveries and it's hard to get on the app. In my last video, I talked about how it was stressful delivering for DoorDash. And I'm gonna say that that has gone down significantly. A lot of the stress from this job was coming from the app failing, the network failing, restaurants not being as hip to this kind of takeout system yet. But now a lot of the restaurants have had all this for years. Certain restaurants like Chipotle and other companies, they've dialed this in really well. And they have a perfect system, their staff is ready, they know what they're doing, they have labels for everything. So yeah, in 2020, it is a lot less stressful to deliver for DoorDash than it was a year ago. However, your level of stress will increase or decrease based on how well you know an area. So if you go, 20 miles to a new area that you've never delivered in, it's gonna be more stressful because you don't know all the apartment complexes, you don't know the good restaurants, you may not know every little side street. I personally deliver in my neck of the woods where I grew up. I went to high school, I delivered pizza here. This is my turf. I know some of the customers, I know most of the apartment complexes. I know what restaurants to go to, what restaurants are super slow. Knowing your area makes it way less stressful and you'll make way more money. Now for some tips as for driving DoorDash in 2020. You want to be real selective with the orders you take. Basically set up some acceptance rules for yourself, some guidelines that you're gonna follow when an order comes in to help you easily decide, yes, I'm taking this one, or no, I'm not. For me, my guideline is I don't like to go over 4 miles and I don't like to accept anything under $8. If you end up getting stuck at a restaurant for 45 minutes and it's for $4 or $5, you're gonna be real mad. Nothing under $8 is really worth my time. That's my quota. I deny all the things that are under $8 and that are more than 4 miles. What I really like is stuff that's 2 miles and $14, but you can't get those all the time. You try to cycle through deliveries and reject the garbage when it comes to you and just take the good orders. The ones that have high pay, close distance, and that are restaurants are fast. Now, as far as restaurants go, I've mentioned before Chipotle because they're fast, they have an excellent system, and they have a high frequency of orders. There's a local one called Greenleaf. Some of these health food restaurants, if the food is expensive and the restaurant is fast, that's what you want. You want a restaurant that has expensive food because that's going to make the total you make go higher. And usually wealthier people will order it, so they tend to tip better. They also need to be quick on their game with prepping the food because what good is it to have a big order if it takes them 45 minutes or an hour to get it to you? Restaurants, like I said, one is Greenleaf's fantastic. They will have $12 and $14 salads. If you get 2 of those in a delivery, that's an excellent order. It can be $10 or $15. So your restaurants want to be fast staff, no paying with the red card. Raising Cane's is one of ours that does a red card. I do not go to Raising Cane's because I have to wait in a line, then I have to pay, then I have to wait for the food, then I have to drive out of there. Most red card orders, unless you pay for the food that way instead of ordering it directly, I don't take them. Especially Raising Cane's. If you know a place where you gotta wait in line and order that way, don't take that restaurant anymore. The restaurant should be expensive because that will help you make more money, and the restaurant should be fast and the distance should be short. So if you have all those things, a good restaurant, a short distance, good money, and no red card, that's a yes. Accept that delivery. If you have any of the following, Raising Cane's or pay and order restaurants, that's a no. $3 pickups from McDonald's, that's a no. 9-mile delivery to bring you some boba, that's a no. And lastly, with DoorDash in 2020, a lot of us are kind of concerned, if you're in California, about these new labor laws. AB 5. They passed this law last year. It was signed by the Democrats. A lot of us are unhappy with it because they try to make our wages hourly and have us get benefits. Like DoorDash is supposed to make us hourly wage employees when we like to work for results. We don't like to work by the hour. I don't want to make hourly wage because then it doesn't encourage me to work hard. I would rather have no wage limit so I can just work as hard as I want, get the best orders. It is more of a survival of the fittest, I think, when we're allowed to sell our own labor as we wish. But they're trying to categorize us into employees. Fortunately, it was supposed to go into effect January 1st and nothing has happened on our end. As far as the app goes, everything looks the same. But come tax season next year, if the law stays in place, it could create a lot of havoc for all of us drivers. We may not be able to write off things like gas and expenses that we were before. They make us want to get business licenses, and it's just a whole ordeal of garbage. It's just very difficult to deal with AB5 in California. So fortunately, there is a proposal on the upcoming ballot to repeal AB5, but there is also a national proposal to apply this horrible law to the entire nation. And that would be terrible because it just restricts our labor. In my opinion, it's a form of socialism to tell us how I can sell my work. It affects all sorts of aspects of life. The entertainment business, me as a fire performer, I've very much been hit. The agencies I work with are being more careful and making everybody incorporate. We have to spend a lot more money in fees to be okay just to perform and do what we did before. AB5 going forward, we don't know how it's going to affect the battlefield, but thank God the DoorDash app and the Uber app are still running so we can still make money. Labor laws are something that we have to think about in 2020. Maybe you have a backup plan. If this job doesn't work out for you, have something else you like to do instead of delivering food and gig work. Find a company that you like or that you can work for, or incorporate and get business licenses, pay all the fees, and then hopefully you won't have trouble with taxes in 2021. Or maybe they'll repeal the law this year and then none of us Californians will have. As you can see, 2020 is a confusing year for delivery drivers and taxes with the new rules. But I hope you enjoyed this video, found it somewhat helpful, informative. If you did, go ahead, smash the like button. Feel free to subscribe. I do make videos all the time. Leave a comment. Tell me how you feel about DoorDashing in 2020. Are you making great money? It's not so bad out there. And thank you for all your comments and support on my last video about DoorDash being bad. Our voices have been heard, and the network and the app, everything has improved for us as drivers since then. Good luck to you out there. Safe driving as always. Just have a wonderful day.